Welcome back to Andersen Acres. We're here in the kitchen again today, and today we are going to make Blueberry Orange Drop Biscuits. These are really easy and really quite delicious. They're very sweet, and the blueberries add just the right amount of tart. So let's get started. First, you're going to need a half a cup of butter or margarine. It doesn't really matter which. I use butter, but it doesn't really matter. There's so many other ingredients you won't notice the difference. So just take your fork and kind of mash that up a little bit. Okay, to that, we are going to add 1.5 cups of all-purpose flour. Okay, and we're just going to kind of smash that up a little bit. Okay, you want to kind of get this crumbly. You don't want to truly blend in that butter, but you do want to make it crumbly. Let's make that crumbly. While you're working, you can preheat your oven to 400 degrees Fahrenheit. Okay, it's a little lower than we normally bake biscuits at, but we don't want to burn the blueberries. Okay, they do have a tendency to burn, so we don't want to burn them. Okay, our next ingredient is cornmeal. We're doing half a cup of cornmeal. Just dump that in there. No real ceremony, just give it a dump. Give that a mix. We also want half a cup of white sugar. Okay, so give that a mix. There we go. Okay, we also want to finish adding our dry ingredients. So we want 3 teaspoons of baking powder, not baking soda, baking powder. That's our leavening agent. That makes our biscuits poof. Must poof. Okay. We want about a half teaspoon of salt, any salt you like. I'm using table salt because it literally doesn't matter in this recipe. You can use kosher, you can use whatever you have, it doesn't matter. Then we want 1 tablespoon of orange zest, also called grated orange peel. Okay, make sure that's really fine. You don't want chunks, but you want that orange flavor in there. Okay, mix that together. And we're going to add 1/3 cup of milk. We're going to add probably a little more milk, but here's where I'm going to ditch my fork. Okay, let's ditch the fork and start using a wooden spoon. Because remember, we want a wet dough, but you want at least 1/3 cup of milk. How much milk is going to kind of depend on the humidity in your area right now. So at least 1/3 cup. And I'm going to need a little bit more. So we're just going to splash some more milk in there. Probably about another 1/4 cup because the humidity here is kind of low right now. But you do whatever you want to do in order to get your drop biscuit, because this is still too crumbly, so we got to mix that in. But you want at least 1/3 cup, and then go up by 1/4 cup at a time until you reach kind of drop biscuit consistency. And I'm going to need another bit. So again, about 1/4 cup at a time. Okay, so you don't need a ton at a time. You don't want to be super wet. That won't help you. Okay, when you're about like this, we're going to add our blueberries because we can always add a little more milk if we want. Okay. About like that. Now we'll start adding some blueberries. So, how many blueberries? We want about a cup. So I have a 1/4 cup scoop, and I'm just going to scoop 1 scoop at a time. You want them frozen. Okay, don't thaw them. If you thaw them, it'll be more difficult to mix your batter. And 1 more scoop. There we go. Now remember, that's the oven telling me it's preheated. Remember that blueberries stain, so try to keep your hands out of the batter because your batter will turn your hands purple. So blueberries stain pretty bad. So keep your hands out of there if you can. Let's give this a mix. Okay, we don't need that. we need our pan. There we go. And we need a scoop. Okay, so how many drop biscuits are we going to make? It depends on how big you want them. It doesn't matter that much unless you're making them really tiny or really big. They're going to be about the same baking time. So however many you want. So I'm going to do about that big. Okay, so I'm going to fill my scoop up a little bit, and then you just turn them out onto your baking sheet like so. Okay, so we're just going to keep doing that. And we're just going to fill up our baking sheet. So remember, you're going to heat your oven to about 400 degrees Fahrenheit. Okay, there we go. That was too much in that one. So does it matter how many biscuits you make? No, just plop some on here. And then we're going to make a topping for these because these are nice and sweet. They deserve a nice and sweet topping. So, here's another one. Now these are a favorite of anybody who likes blueberries, and that delicate orange flavor gives you just the right amount of flavor for these. There we go. Okay. There we go. So you don't want your dough too loose or it will really just flood your pan. You want them enough so you can drop them, right? Not so stiff you can't drop, but not so loose that when you drop them, they go everywhere. You want them to go everywhere. That would be really irritating. And don't go too light on those blueberries. You can reduce the amount of blueberries to about a half cup if you want. Don't go less than that, or you won't have enough of the blueberry flavor. Okay, so we're just going to do two more. One here. And then one more here. Can't decide if I'm left or right-handed today, apparently. A little bit of both, to be honest. Okay. One more. Here we go. There we are. So you can kind of fiddle with their shape if it matters to you. I don't typically, but if you want, kind of just go around and make them more round if you like. You can use your fingers, but again, this dough will stain, so watch it, because you don't want huge chunks of blueberry on your hand. Okay, so now we can get rid of this bowl. We don't need it. What we're going to need is a smaller bowl, and we're going to need about 1 tablespoon of sugar, and then about 1 tablespoon of that orange zest again, also known as grated orange peel. Take a little spoon, just kind of give that a little mix. So it looks about like that. And then we're just going to take it and sprinkle it on top of each of these little biscuits. It'll add a really nice topping. We're not incorporating it, we're just letting it sit on top. It'll kind of get a little crackly texture. It'll be really fun in our biscuit. There we go. So you can use up the entire amount, or you can just kind of not and be a little more gentle with the sugar. But, you know, these are delicious and they smell so good already, and they're not even baked yet. Okay, so now we're going to pop them in the oven at 400 degrees Fahrenheit, and you're going to bake them for around 12 minutes, maybe 14, depending on how dark you want your biscuits. Check at 12 minutes, and if you want to let them go another minute or two just to let them darken up a little bit, you can do that. So we will come right back as soon as these are baked and have cooled just a little bit. And there you have it. Blueberry Orange Drop Biscuits. Delicious and soft. These guys are an excellent breakfast or brunch, and anyone who likes blueberries is going to like them. So whip them up. They don't take very long. I baked these actually for about 16 minutes. I wanted them a little darker because I remembered who I was making them for, and he likes them a little darker. As long as you bake at least 12 minutes and don't bake more than 20 minutes, you're fine. 20 minutes or more, and you might actually burn the bottoms. So if you look, not burned. If you were to bake too long, you will start to burn the bottoms. So at least 12 minutes to make sure the insides are cooked, no more than 20 minutes to avoid burning the bottom. Otherwise, enjoy your Blueberry Orange Drop Biscuit. Thanks for joining us here at Andersen Acres. I hope you enjoyed making this particular biscuit with us. Join us next time, and I'm sure we'll make something equally delicious. We'll see you tomorrow.